Welcome back to Haunted Alaska, Part 2. In this episode, we'll uncover 15 more terrifying haunted places across the last frontier, ghost towns swallowed by tragedy, cemeteries where spirits still whisper, and abandoned buildings that refuse to rest. Stay with me, because these stories are darker than anything you've heard before. Sector 1. Eklutna Cemetery. Built in the early 1800s, the Eklutna Cemetery near Anchorage is one of Alaska's oldest resting places. It was created when Russian Orthodox missionaries merged their traditions with the Dyea Athabascans, resulting in the small, brightly colored spirit houses that cover the graves. Each house was meant to shelter the soul during its journey to the afterlife. Over the decades, earthquakes, floods, and the harsh Alaskan winters have weathered the cemetery. Yet it remains a sacred site and a haunting reminder of Alaska's layered history. But many visitors insist that something more lingers here. Locals tell of unexplained voices drifting across the grounds at dusk when the sun sinks behind the mountains. In 1993, a team documenting the cemetery reported faint singing in Russian, though no one else was present. Some claim to see flickering lights weaving between the graves, while others feel sudden waves of cold, as if unseen figures brush past them. The most chilling stories speak of shadowy forms standing silently beside the spirit houses, watching before vanishing into the night air. If you dare to walk these grounds after dark, remember, the Eklutna Cemetery is not only a place of history, it's a place where the dead may still keep vigil. And this is only the beginning. The next haunted site is even darker. 2. Fort Richardson. Established in 1940, Fort Richardson was built just outside Anchorage as a crucial U.S. Army post during World War II. It later became home to thousands of soldiers through the Cold War, witnessing both the triumphs and tragedies of military life. While its history is deeply tied to Alaska's defense, it is the cemetery and surrounding barracks that have drawn eerie attention over the years. Soldiers and staff began whispering of strange encounters as early as the 1950s. The most persistent tale is of a soldier who took his own life in the barracks, his spirit said to wander the halls ever since. Witnesses describe the sound of boots pacing in empty corridors late at night, doors slamming without cause, and a heavy presence that seems to linger near certain rooms. In 1983, a group of servicemen reported seeing a figure in full uniform standing guard near the cemetery gate. When they approached, the soldier faded into the mist. Even today, some who serve at Fort Richardson claim to feel watched when walking alone at night, as if past soldiers never left their posts. Step too close to the cemetery, and you may hear a voice whispering from the darkness, reminding you that service here is eternal. C. Alyeska Ski Resort. Opened in 1959 in Girdwood, the Alyeska Ski Resort quickly became Alaska's premier winter destination, attracting skiers from around the world with its sweeping mountain slopes and breathtaking views. But beneath the laughter of tourists and the clatter of ski lifts lies a darker side to this pristine getaway. Over the years, the resort has seen a fair share of accidents, some fatal, and many believe those lost on the mountain never truly left. Guests and staff often report strange experiences after dark. Elevators that move on their own, footsteps echoing in empty hallways, and lights that flicker without reason are just the beginning. The most chilling accounts describe a woman in a white dress, drifting silently through the hotel corridors. In 2014, a group of night shift workers claimed to see her reflection in a lobby mirror, though she wasn't in the room itself. Others tell of sudden icy drafts and the eerie sensation of being followed, even when alone. Locals whisper that Alyeska's beauty hides restless spirits, forever tied to the mountain's unforgiving slopes. So the next time you find yourself in Girdwood after the lifts close, listen closely because the mountain may not be as empty as it seems. 4. Bootlegger Cove, Anchorage. Bootlegger Cove, a quiet neighborhood along Anchorage's shoreline, carries a far darker reputation than its scenic views suggest. The area was developed in the early 1900s, but it was the devastating 1964 Good Friday earthquake, the strongest ever recorded in North America, that cemented its haunted legacy. Entire sections of land collapsed into the inlet, taking homes and lives with them in a matter of minutes. What remains is not just a neighborhood, but a place scarred by tragedy. Residents and visitors alike have reported unsettling encounters here. Strange cries are said to echo across the cove at night, resembling the voices of those lost to the earthquake. Drivers passing through have described seeing a woman in white, standing on the roadside, only for her to vanish when headlights hit her. In 1975, 2 fishermen swore they saw shadowy figures moving along the shoreline at dawn, though no footprints were left in the sand. Even today, locals warn that Bootlegger Cove grows unnaturally quiet after dark, as if the land itself remembers. They say the spirits here are restless, still searching for what was stolen from them in an instant. If you stand at the water's edge too long, you might feel them at your side, silent, waiting. 5. Oscar Anderson House Museum, Anchorage. Built in 1915, the Oscar Anderson House is one of the oldest homes in Anchorage and the first wooden house ever constructed in the young frontier town. Oscar Anderson, a Swedish immigrant, was a key figure in shaping Anchorage's early economy, and his home has since been preserved as a museum to showcase the city's beginnings. But while the house stands as a proud relic of history, many believe its walls hold something far more chilling. Visitors often report a heavy presence lingering inside, as though the Anderson family never truly moved on. Staff have described hearing footsteps creaking on the upper floor when no one else is there, and doors that slowly open on their own. The most unnerving stories involve the apparition of a man in old-fashioned clothing, thought to be Anderson himself, who appears briefly in mirrors or hallways before vanishing. In one chilling account from the late 1990s, a tour group claimed to hear faint sobbing coming from the upstairs bedroom, yet the room was empty. Today, the Oscar Anderson House is a tourist attraction by day, but when the museum closes and night falls, its true character emerges. Those who dare to stay too long say the house feels alive, watching, waiting, reminding Anchorage that its past is never truly buried. 6. Lake Hood Floatplane Base, Anchorage. Since its opening in 1929, Lake Hood has become the busiest seaplane base in the world, launching thousands of flights each year over Alaska's rugged wilderness. It has been a vital hub for bush pilots, hunters, and adventurers, connecting remote corners of the state. But with so much air traffic and the unforgiving nature of Alaska's skies, Lake Hood has also been the site of tragic accidents, some fatal, leaving behind more than just memories of lost flights. Pilots and workers around the lake whisper of strange encounters in the still hours of the night. Shadows are said to move across the water, even when no aircraft are near. Mechanics report hearing the distant roar of plane engines starting up on the lake only to discover the surface calm and silent. One chilling story tells of a phantom pilot a man in an old leather jacket, spotted walking toward the docks before vanishing into thin air. In 2001, two night fishermen swore they saw the figure climb into a plane, which then dissolved like mist before their eyes. To this day, some believe Lake Hood is haunted by those who never made it back from their flights. And if you linger near the docks after dark, you might hear it too, the restless echo of engines that never truly landed. 7. Dyea Ghost Town, Chilkoot Trail. Once a booming gold rush settlement in the late 1890s, Dyea stood at the gateway to the Chilkoot Trail, where thousands of stampeders passed in search of fortune. At its height, the town thrived with saloons, hotels, and endless activity. But Dyea's prosperity was short-lived. A devastating avalanche in 1898 killed dozens of fortune seekers, and soon after, Skagway outpaced Dyea as the main port. Within a few years, the bustling town was abandoned, left to rot and fade back into the wilderness. Today, only faint traces remain: weathered foundations, fading grave markers, and silence. Yet that silence is often broken. Hikers and visitors to Dyea speak of ghostly whispers along the trail, especially near the Slide Cemetery, where the avalanche victims are buried. Some claim to hear the clinking of pickaxes and shovels in the dead of night, as if the miners still toil endlessly for gold. Others describe fleeting shadows darting between the trees, always just out of sight. In 1974, a park ranger reported seeing a spectral group of men trudging up the trail with heavy packs on their backs, only for them to vanish when approached. The Chilkoot Trail carries more than history. It carries the weight of restless souls who never made it out alive. And if you walk too far into Dyea at dusk, you may feel them walking right beside you. 8. Buckner Building, Whittier. Constructed in 1953, the Buckner Building was once hailed as the city under one roof. This massive Cold War-era structure in Whittier held barracks, a theater, a hospital, and even a jail designed to protect soldiers and civilians alike from Alaska's brutal weather and the looming threat of war. But only a few years after it opened, the 1964 Good Friday earthquake struck, causing severe damage and forcing its abandonment. Since then, the Buckner Building has stood as a decaying concrete giant, its hollow halls echoing with memories of what was lost. Urban explorers who dare to enter the ruins often come back shaken. Inside, the air is unnervingly still, yet footsteps and whispers seem to follow intruders from room to room. Cold spots appear suddenly, even in the heart of summer, and the sound of doors slamming echoes through empty corridors. Some claim to see shadowy figures peering from broken windows, while others describe an overwhelming sense of dread, as if unseen eyes are watching from the darkness. In 2007, a photographer reported capturing a figure in an old military uniform on film, though no one else had been in the building. The Buckner Building is a decaying monument to Alaska's past, but many believe it is also a prison for spirits that never left. Step inside, and you may find yourself walking beside them. 9. Pilgrim Hot Springs, Seward Peninsula. Hidden in the remote tundra of the Seward Peninsula, Pilgrim Hot Springs has a history as unsettling as it is tragic. In the early 1900s, the Catholic Church established an orphanage here after a deadly influenza epidemic swept through Nome, leaving countless children without families. The orphanage ran for decades, but harsh conditions, illness, and isolation cast a long shadow over the land. By the mid-20th century, the orphanage was abandoned, and the hot springs were left to the wilderness. Yet those who visit Pilgrim Hot Springs today often sense they are not alone. Travelers report hearing children's laughter echoing across the steaming pools, though no one is there. Some claim to see small figures darting through the trees, vanishing as quickly as they appear. In 1970, a group of hunters camping nearby swore they saw a nun in full habit, walking silently near the ruins, her form glowing faintly before dissolving into the night. Others describe sudden waves of sorrow, as if the land itself mourns. Locals say the spirits of the children and caretakers linger here, tied forever to the place where their lives were cut short. And when the mist rises from the springs at dusk, it's easy to believe the past has never truly gone. 10. Independence Mine, Hatcher Pass, founded in 1938. Independence Mine was once one of Alaska's largest and most productive gold mines. At its peak, more than 200 miners lived and worked in the remote slopes of Hatcher Pass, carving out fortunes from the unforgiving mountains. But when World War II struck, the mine was closed as the government shifted resources to the war effort. Though operations briefly resumed, the gold rush faded, and by 1951, the mine was abandoned, leaving behind empty bunkhouses, weathered tunnels, and a ghost town frozen in time. Those who visit today say the mine is anything but silent. Hikers report hearing the metallic ring of pickaxes striking stone, echoing through the deserted shafts. Park rangers have spoken of lantern lights flickering deep inside the tunnels, even when no one has entered. Some explorers describe encountering shadowy figures moving among the cabin's miners, who seemed to vanish when approached. In 1998, a photographer claimed his equipment malfunctioned repeatedly near one particular shaft, only to capture a faint silhouette of a man standing at its entrance. Independence Mine is more than a relic of Alaska's gold rush. It feels alive with the presence of those who never left. Step carefully among its ruins, because the miners of Hatcher Pass may still be working in the dark. 11. The Slide Cemetery, Skagway. The Slide Cemetery in Skagway is a grim reminder of the deadly avalanche that struck the Chilkoot Trail on April 3, 1898. During the height of the Klondike Gold Rush, thousands of stampeders braved the treacherous mountain pass in search of fortune. But on that fateful day, tons of snow thundered down the slopes, burying dozens of hopeful miners alive. Their bodies were laid to rest in what is now known as the Slide Cemetery, a quiet grove just outside of town. Though peaceful by day, the cemetery has a darker reputation after dusk. Visitors often report hearing muffled cries carried on the wind, as if the voices of the avalanche victims still call out from beneath the snow. Some hikers have seen shadowy figures along the trail, leading to the cemetery bent low under the weight of heavy packs, only to vanish into the trees. In 1987, a local historian walking the grounds claimed to hear the rhythmic sound of shovels digging, though no one else was there. Today, the Slide Cemetery stands as both a historic marker and a haunted threshold. Those who linger too long among the graves say the air grows heavy, as though the spirits of the fallen stampeders still wander, forever searching for the gold they never found. 12. Treadwell Ruins, Juneau. On Douglas Island near Juneau lie the remains of the Treadwell gold mine, once one of the richest mines in the world. Founded in the 1880s, it employed over 2,000 workers and fueled Alaska's early economy. But on April 21, 1917, disaster struck. A massive cave-in flooded the mine shafts, swallowing buildings and equipment, and ending the mine's prosperity overnight. Miraculously, most of the miners escaped, but the tragedy left behind a scar that never healed. Today, moss-covered ruins and rusting machinery sit silently along the shoreline, a ghost town reclaimed by the forest. Yet silence isn't all you'll find here. Visitors often report strange echoes rising from the collapsed shafts, as if picks and hammers still strike the rock below. Late at night, shadowy figures have been spotted drifting among the ruins, lanterns in hand, before vanishing into the mist. One chilling account from 1972 describes two teenagers hearing frantic voices near the old hoist house, only to discover the building empty. Locals say the spirits of drowned miners linger, forever trapped beneath the earth that betrayed them. The Treadwell Ruins are more than crumbling walls. They're a reminder that fortune often comes at a deadly cost, and if you walk those trails at twilight, you may hear the ghosts of the mine, still working deep underground. 13. Portage Ghost Town, Whittier area. Portage was once a small but thriving town near Whittier, settled in the early 1900s as a stop along the Alaska Railroad. Families built homes, businesses, and schools in the shadow of the Chugach Mountains, with the Portage Glacier nearby drawing visitors. But on March 27, 1964, the Good Friday earthquake struck with devastating force. The land around Portage sank nearly 10 feet, flooding the town with seawater and destroying nearly everything. Residents were forced to leave, and Portage was abandoned, left to rot beneath the tides. Today, what remains of Portage is a true ghost town. Crumbling houses lean at odd angles, streets are swallowed by brush, and silence rules where children once played. Travelers who wander through the ruins have reported unsettling phenomena, the sound of footsteps crunching across gravel when no one is there, windows rattling in empty homes, and ghostly shapes moving inside buildings long abandoned. In 1992, a photographer visiting the site claimed to capture the faint outline of a woman in a bonnet, staring from a shattered window. Though the house was completely empty, locals say Portage is a place frozen in time, where the spirits of those who lost everything still linger. Walk through the town at dusk, and you may feel the ground tremble, as if the earthquake that ended Portage is still echoing beneath your feet. 14. Pump House Restaurant, Fairbanks. The Pump House Restaurant in Fairbanks is more than just a fine dining spot on the banks of the Chena River. It is a building steeped in history. Originally constructed in the early 1930s, the pump house supplied water for the steamboats that fueled Alaska's interior trade and gold mining boom. Over time, the structure was transformed into a restaurant, preserving its rustic charm and echoes of the past. But with that history comes whispers of hauntings that patrons and staff alike have reported for decades. Guests often describe a sudden chill sweeping through the dining rooms, accompanied by the faint smell of pipe tobacco, though no one nearby is smoking. Some staff members say they've seen a shadowy figure in old-fashioned work clothes wandering the upper floor, believed to be a former worker tied forever to the building. In one chilling account from 2005, a late-night employee swore he saw a man standing near the bar, only for the figure to fade as he approached. Another guest claimed to hear phantom footsteps along the wooden deck, as if invisible patrons still linger to watch the river. Though the pump house serves some of the finest meals in Fairbanks, many believe it also serves as a gathering place for spirits from Alaska's frontier days. And when the lights dim, you might wonder who else is dining there with you. 15. Chatanika Gold Dredge, Fairbanks. Rising like a steel skeleton out of the Alaskan wilderness, the Chatanika Gold Dredge is one of the last surviving giants of the state's gold mining era. Built in the 1920s, this massive machine once clawed through the riverbeds north of Fairbanks, pulling thousands of ounces of gold from the earth. For decades, it symbolized both fortune and hardship miners, working long, dangerous hours in freezing conditions. But as the gold dried up, the dredge was abandoned, left to rust and sink into the swampy ground, its hulking frame now a relic of a bygone age. Visitors who dare to explore the site tell unsettling stories. Strange metallic clanging echoes from deep within the dredge, as if its gears still grind in the dark. Some report cold drafts and an overwhelming feeling of dread when standing near the old control room. In 1981, 2 locals claimed they saw a miner in heavy boots and overalls pacing the deck, only for him to vanish when they called out. Others insist the spirits of exhausted workers linger here, forever tied to the machine that consumed their lives. The Chatanika Gold Dredge is more than a monument to Alaska's golden past. It is a reminder that some dreams came at a terrible cost. And at night, when the wind howls through its broken windows, it sounds eerily like the voices of miners who never left. You've just explored 15 of the most haunted places in Alaska. But tell me, if you could visit just one, which would you dare to step into? Leave your answer in the comments. I want to know who's brave enough.